Hey guys, this is Jay of Jay's Reviews here, and this time we're looking at another PlayStation 2 series, Jak and Daxter, a series developed by Naughty Dog, today known as one of the most high-quality developers of all time. Most recently known for The Last of Us, one of my favorite games of all time, and no, not the objectively greatest game of all time or anything, but one of my personal favorites. Also the Uncharted Trilogy on the PlayStation 3, and while it's not my favorite game series of all time, it's very polished and enjoyable. With Uncharted 4 coming to the PlayStation 4 very soon, I look forward to replaying the games again. Naughty Dog's beginnings were with basic games such as Keef the Thief, Rings of Power, and Way of the Warrior, all very mediocre titles that weren't particularly well known or successful. But Naughty Dog's success began on the PlayStation 1 with Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, 3, and Crash Team Racing. I'll say it right now, I'm not a particularly huge fan of Crash, but I enjoy the games enough and appreciate how it got Naughty Dog started on their path to success. So the development of Jak and Daxter is quite a business-related complex mess, but I'll sum it up here. Naughty Dog made the Crash games, Sony licensed them and they were published by Universal, which meant that the profit of all four games had to be split three ways between Sony, Universal, and Naughty Dog. And game making isn't the most profitable career, I might add, so they wanted to have Sony be the publisher and eliminate the middleman. However, Universal owned Crash, and so Naughty Dog wasn't allowed to make more games in that series if Universal wasn't involved in the development and distribution of the game. So anyway, with Sony now owning Naughty Dog, they were off to make games directly with Sony for their upcoming console, the PlayStation 2, a console with one of the greatest launch lineups of all time. I mean, Jak and Daxter, Metal Gear Solid 2, Silent Hill 2, Final Fantasy X, and Grand Theft Auto 3, that's a launch lineup we'll never see again. The PS2 in general is one of my favorite consoles of all time. I mean, if you want a more in-depth review of the PS2 featuring myself, then I collabed with the SideQuest Gamer to review the console, so you could always just check that out if you want to hear my thoughts on the PlayStation 2 and some of the major games on it that I've played. Anyway, upon release, Jak and Daxter The Precursor Legacy was met with high praise and sold millions of copies. My personal experience with Jak and Daxter began with Jak 2 and Jak 3, not playing the original game until much later. However, I beat this game first due to the other two games' higher difficulty. So for this marathon, we'll be looking at all 6 games: Jak 1, Jak 2, Jak 3, Jak X, Daxter, and The Lost Frontier. Anyway, let's get on with the review. Jak and Daxter's plot is nowhere near as interesting as the Sly Cooper trilogy, of which I spent a lot of time talking about in those reviews, Sly 2 and 3 specifically. Anyway, the plot is that young man Jak and his best friend Daxter sneak away from their homeland of Sandover Village, despite the fact that the village sage, Samos, the master of green eco, and eco is the core element of the world by the way, and eco and the world itself was made by the Precursors, which are basically gods in this universe, whose identities at this point are anonymous. Anyway, Samos told Jak and Daxter to not go to Misty Island, but they do, and then see two mysterious figures confronting their army of lurkers about finding dark eco, a practically non-existent substance in the world compared to green, red, blue, or yellow eco. Anyway, upon further exploration, Jak and Daxter find a pool of dark eco, to which Daxter falls in and turns into an Ottsel, a cross between an otter and a weasel. When Jak and Daxter turn to Samos, he can't help because he never studied dark eco, and the only person who did would be Gaul. But getting there would be tricky because the teleporter gates are off, so Jak and Daxter are then informed by Samos' daughter, Kira, that they need to collect power cells to advance through the land. And that's the story summed up. And again, it's pretty simple, however, don't expect to be immersed in this story, because this game's world and characters are completely static, where the 4 characters I just mentioned in the summary are the only important characters in the game. The rest of them are just there for the sake of giving you power cells. But the story's not a huge point of the game, so that's all I'll say about that. I mean, I guess I could talk about the voice acting. I mean, I like Samos and Daxter and Kira, but Jak can't even talk in this game, so he's not an interesting character, and the rest of them, like I said earlier, are completely just there for the hell of getting you more power cells. Gameplay-wise, Jak and Daxter fundamentally is a 5th generation title like Banjo-Kazooie or Super Mario 64. We explore big environments to find power cells and precursor orbs. Power cells, like I said, are the main collectible, and there are 101 of them in the game. However, you don't have to get them all, you only need 72. So if you want them all, you can get them all, because 100%ing Jak and Daxter The Precursor Legacy is simple and fun. Jak controls quite well, and his combat moves are very effective. However, where Jak fails is his platforming control. I mean, Jak carries a lot of momentum when jumping, but his double jump cancels out said momentum. I mean, you could always spin in mid-air for more airtime, but still, it gets kind of annoying as the game goes on and on repeat playthroughs. Another annoying aspect is that Jak takes damage upon touch, so combat is artificially made more difficult. Since Jak only has 3 hits before death, this means you'll be dying a lot, but since the game has no lives, it doesn't really matter. But one thing I will tell you is, the recording curse is quite real. Refilling your health requires you to get 50 small green eco pieces, or 1 big one, or 1 full health restore will come from a green eco vent. As my friend Exo Paradigm Gamer pointed out, this is a very silly method of increasing the difficulty, which doesn't bother me that much, but that just serves as a nice segue into eco. Jak can use blue eco to increase his speed and activate Precursor technology, red eco will allow Jak to increase his strength, and yellow eco will allow Jak to fire a projectile. And as for Daxter, he does nothing. Power cells aren't just found in levels. You can buy them from citizens for 90 Precursor orbs, or you could get one from a Precursor Oracle for 120 orbs, and every orb counts because there's only 2,000 of them in the game. They don't respawn, with each level having about 200 each. So if that's not your thing, you don't have to pay for a single one, because only about 15 of them are paid for, when there's a total of 101, and you again only need 72, since the other 86 are all from your actions in the stages. Such as collecting 7 scout flies, or doing level-based tasks like redirecting eco beams, or fishing, or any variety of things. This game is quite diverse. There are 3 worlds in Jak, all with 2 or 3 levels each. The levels in the first world are my favorite, with the best level design and challenges. However, the second world is also pretty good. However, I've never really enjoyed the Precursor Basin due to the split-second shit you have to do, like the races or the Lightning Mole's rescue. It just all seems like a boring, back and forth, over and over and over again, repetitive bullshit. And it's really annoying. You use the zoomer the whole time, and it controls well when you're doing the levels where you have to progress from one world to the next, but it's just certainly not fun in this level. Then we get to the third world, the worst one in the game, with the 2 worst levels in the game, Snowy Mountain, and especially the Spider Cave. These levels are large, confusing, and not fun, with some extremely confusing Precursor orb locations and very obnoxious tasks. However, again, if you 100% every level and hub before these levels, you don't have to play them at all. You can just skip straight to the end game. And with that, I think the gameplay is pretty much covered. The music is quite atmospheric. Not something I listen to, but it's quite memorable in the moment. But the atmosphere is quite strengthened by the game's visuals. This game looks great, and I love the gradual change from day to night. The best part being that the world is completely seamless and you can walk from the tutorial level all the way to the final boss without loading times. The game also has bosses, speaking of which, but these are actually the worst part of the game for me. They're all anticlimactic, rinse and repeat fights that aren't particularly memorable. I almost forgot to mention them, honestly. But with that, we've reached the end game, so skip to this point in the video if you want to avoid spoilers. So Jak and company find out that the other Eco Sages have gone missing, only to find out that the Master of Dark Eco, Gaul, is really the main villain all along with his sister Maya, and Jak and Daxter find out that Samos has also been kidnapped by Gaul and Maya, so they make their way to Gaul and Maya's citadel to rescue the Sages and stop their plan of using Dark Eco to destroy the world. To which, the Sages combine their respective Eco colors with the Dark Eco to form Light Eco, to which Jak then uses that to destroy Gaul and Maya's robot. And that ends Jak and Daxter The Precursor Legacy. But if you got all 101 power cells, you get a bonus ending where our heroes open a door that flashes white and cuts to credits. We'll see how that goes next time, but for now, it's a pretty lame reward. So overall, while there are many things I don't like about Jak and Daxter, none of these things would come close to ruining the experience for me. Jak and Daxter was and always will be a fun platformer with great design and visuals and completely seamless world, which is why Jak and Daxter would easily make my top 10 games of all time. So with that said, this has been Jay of Jay's Reviews, signing out. See, I didn't cut out early this time.